all your mothers. And it's kind of tough because be it Mother's Day or what they call Father's Day, but be it Mother's Day, sometimes we think that it is automatic to say Happy Mother's Day because a lot of us didn't have a happy mother. Unfortunately, most people know or have grown up in households where the woman of the house knew nothing about motherhood, and they learned motherhood a different way. A lot of us young men grew up with the dad of the house knowing nothing about fatherhood, and we learned a different way. It always says God has a ram in the bush, whether it's Big Mama, Big Daddy, or your grandparents, or uncle or aunt, to be able to, quote unquote, be your daddy or be your mommy. There's someone who you consider in your life your mother, whether it's your natural mother, an adopted mother, your grandmother, it could even be your sister, whatever it be. I say that to say that we all know a good mother. It doesn't have to be our own. But on this day, we should reflect and wish all women a happy Mother's Day. It doesn't say a good Mother's Day, so it doesn't matter if your mother was good to you or not. You should still be grateful because she brought you here. So today should still be a happy Mother's Day. And for today's lesson, I want the men to come along and kind of gravitate to it and take a hold of it, because again, I know it's Mother's Day, and what we're going to talk about today, in the natural, we as men know nothing about whatsoever, but in the spiritual, what God has for one, He has for all in the spiritual. In the natural, is totally different. But today is don't abort the baby. Don't abort the baby is what we're going to talk about today. And I know a lot of men are like, well, that doesn't make any sense for us. I know some women are like, well, it's Mother's Day. Why are you talking about abortion? But we're going to go on a journey, and you'll see where I'm going when we get there. But today is don't abort the baby. And you have to bear with me because there's a lot of information that I've been taking down and trying to kind of go over this. But one of the things that I paid attention to, and I've been kind of going over, is Luke chapter 1, verses 28 through 31. Luke chapter 1, verses 28 through 31. It says, "The angel went to her and said, 'Greetings, you who are highly favored. The Lord is with you.' Mary was greatly troubled at his words and wondered what kind of greeting this might be. But the angel said to her, 'Do not be afraid, Mary. You have found favor with God. You will conceive and give birth to a son, and you are to call him Jesus.'" It's amazing when the angel told Mary that she was highly favored amongst all women. So it's interesting that we have something here, that here is Mary being told that she is highly favored among all women. And those of us, most of us, know the story about the birth of Christ. Immediately, Mary was bothered. She was concerned. She didn't understand what that meant. What manner is this that the angel is coming to tell me that I'm highly favored? And also telling her that she was going to have a son. And she's like, well, I know no man, although she's being, quote unquote, betrothed to be with Joseph. So I want you to keep that into the front of your mind, that we have Mary, who is a virgin. We have an angel telling her that she's going to give birth. We have an angel telling her that she is highly favored amongst all women. So keep Mary in your mind. But those of us that know the story, we know a little bit about Elizabeth and what she went through. So those of you that know that story, keep that in your mind. I just want you to keep that in the back of your mind. But we're going to focus on Mary, and we're going to focus on Joseph. Now here we have Mary being told something that's amazing, that she's going to bring the Christ. She's going to bring our Lord and Savior. She's going to bring the Son of God unto the world. You would think that she would be joyous. She would be happy. Her immediate response would be, I'm highly favored amongst all women. You would think she would be like most of us. If someone came and told us, I'm going to make you more wealthier than all men, we're going to jump for joy. There's not going to be any sadness. We're not even going to think about the repercussions or anything that's wrong. We're going to be happy. Hey, I can do blah, 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 blah. Depending on who you are, you're going to say, hey, I'm the man, I'm the woman, I'm this. You're going to pat yourself on the back, puff your chest out. But here she is, she's in a moment of, what does this really mean? We focus on the angel telling her about the birth. Then we focus on her giving birth. But those of you who are mothers know that that is not the deal when it comes down to being pregnant. The deal is the middle. It's the middle part. It's not the getting pregnant part. It's not the giving birth part. And both of those can be issues within themselves. But most people don't know your journey because your journey is personal. Every woman's journey is different than another woman's journey. Yeah, you're supposed to have 3 trimesters. Yeah, you're supposed to have all these different things, but your journey is different. And most people don't understand your personal journey. They think they got it all figured out. You had this, you had that, you got prenatals, you got this, you got that, you got checked out, ultrasound, you had all these different things. But they didn't have any of this back then. So we're dealing with Mary, we're dealing with Joseph. Now, one thing about me is, yes, we're going to deal with something that's in the Bible, but we're going to deal with realistic issues that we deal with today. We can talk about Mary and Joseph and having the son of Christ. All that's fine, but we really need to deal with how would we handle a Mary and a Joseph situation today. So here's Mary being told that she is going to give birth to a child, to the risen Savior. We don't ask ourselves, what about her journey? We never ask ourselves about what is the process of a blessing. What is the process of being highly favored? What is even the process and the cost of being obedient? We don't think about the processes that Mary had to go through. In that moment and instance, I can imagine her thinking and saying, hold on, I have to go through all of this. Hold on, Lord, how is that a blessing? You notice how a lot of times God will tell you that this is going to happen for you and happen to you, but he never tells you the middle part, ever, because it'll scare you off. The Bible says that God is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the ending. That means we got to work the middle. All of this is us. All of this is us. The beginning and ending is him, but all of this is us. It's amazing how he didn't share the middle with Mary. It's amazing how he didn't share the beginning with Joseph. Now those who are married can see the conflict already. Mary knows what's been said to her. She knows the end result. Joseph hasn't been told anything yet. So now we got to get into the mind of a man. We have to get into the mind of a young, beautiful virgin who has been promised to an older man, being Joseph. Mary was young at the time, and Joseph was much older at the time. So can you imagine his heart and how he feels to have a young, beautiful virgin as his bride? So as a man, she is perfect in every way to him. So his chest is out. I'm an older man. I have a beautiful young girl. Blah, blah, blah. Beautiful young lady. Excuse me. Beautiful young lady. She's to be my wife. She's been untouched. She's been this. She's been that. I am so happy. I'm overjoyed. I'm joyous. You can imagine the fear that Mary may have. But during that time, again, they were raised to be a certain way. So maybe there was no fear involved. But with that, you have a conflict that we don't see. And the conflict is God sent an angel to tell Mary that she was going to be pregnant, but she had never been with a man. So here you have Mary being pregnant. Here you have Joseph looking at his beautiful young wife pregnant, and he had nothing to do with it. Here you have Mary and you have Joseph having to go somewhere, having to move. You have a promise and you have a fulfillment of the promise. But it seems like we have a huge contradiction of the two. Because Joseph was promised Mary. He was promised a young, beautiful virgin to be his bride. That was his promise. But now you have God sending an angel to promise Mary that she's going to be pregnant without a man being involved and deliver the risen Savior. Those two things don't go together. How can two people in the same household be promised two totally separate things that are in conflict with one another? Both by the same God. Do we see the issue? Now let's put ourselves in Mary and Joseph. Men, if your beautiful wife came to you and said, I'm pregnant, and you had nothing to do with it, what would you think? I mean, I know we're on air, but I mean, just to yourself, what would you think? So you can imagine the mindset of Joseph saying, hold on now. Now, I'm not stupid, because that's what most men would say. I'm not stupid. It said that Joseph was an honorable man. Joseph was smart. Joseph was of lineage, the house of David. So you have Mary again. You have Joseph again. Can you imagine the conversation that Mary would have to Joseph? I'm pregnant, but it's by the Lord. An angel said that I was going to be pregnant. Can you imagine Joseph's response? Can you just imagine it? We're talking about today. Can you imagine the response? Women, can you imagine your husband's response if you said something like that to him? So you sit back and say, okay, Joseph, you know what happened back then because you're a very educated man. You knew the fact that the sons of God came down with the women and quote-unquote a man way back when. You know the nonsense that happened way back then. So now here's your wife telling you that an angel told her that she's going to be pregnant and you have nothing to do with it. Well, you only have one reference to go back to, and that was the Nephilim. That was horrible. So can you imagine now Joseph's mind frame of thinking, hold on, this happened before, but God, you got rid of them. You flooded the earth for all of that. You got rid of that. But you mean to tell me now my wife is telling me that she's going to be pregnant and I got nothing to do with it? But God, I'm supposed to be okay? Was this your promise to me? Again, when we put ourselves in the shoes of what these people went through, when we put ourselves in the shoes of what these people must have thought. Now I want to go a little bit deeper with that. Because we don't give Mary enough credit. Because remember, Mary is young. Young. So us dads that have young daughters, can you imagine your daughter taking on virtually the salvation of the world within her womb? Having to deal and talk to her husband by telling him something that has never been done on the face of the earth and he's supposed to believe it? Can you imagine the pressure? Can you imagine what she's going through in the inside? Not even knowing the touch of a man, but then at the same time being pregnant. I can't imagine it. I can't even fathom that. But can you imagine what she must be feeling, what she must be going through? Who was there to comfort her? Because we know as men, it ain't Joseph. So here we have Mary and we have Joseph. And the interesting thing is, none of them are wrong. Notice right now, this is not about right or wrong. Right now we're talking about perception and reality. So, you have them traveling. They're traveling from Nazareth to Bethlehem. Now, the distance between Nazareth and Bethlehem was 70 to 90 miles. Young lady, pregnant. Husband didn't touch her. They have to go 70 to 90 miles on a donkey and on foot. It takes 4 to 6 days to make that journey back then. But that's not the tough part. Most people back then traveled in groups because there were murderers, killers, robbers, rough terrain, and wild animals. So you had Mary and Joseph. But I think the wildest animal on that trip was Joseph's mom. Because can you imagine what he was thinking the entire time? Now see, I can tell you what he was thinking because the Bible says it. The Bible says that Joseph was an upright man. Then it says that instead of publicly disgracing her, he was going to put Mary away privately. That means he was going to kill her in private, not in public. So can you imagine Mary knowing the laws and the customs of the time, knowing that this is death, punishable by death? Can you imagine Joseph's mindset of looking at his beautiful young wife, knowing this was his promise, and now he has to kill her? Because of a law, because of people's perceptions, what people would say about him, what people would say about her. But he loved her so much, she was his promise, that he didn't want to publicly disgrace his promise. He would privately deal with it. Can you imagine this young girl, young lady, going through this, thinking about what's going on? Can you imagine him thinking and going through this, doing this trek, doing this perilous journey, all of these things going on? Can you imagine both of their mindsets of what was happening? So I sit back and I think about that, and I come back to today's day. Can you imagine, women, you just told your husband that you're pregnant, he has nothing to do with it. Can you imagine just taking a 4 to 6 hour car drive? And what a 4 to 6 hour car trip would be like? Can you imagine the venom that would be spewed? The words that would come out? What would be said that could never be undone just from 4 to 6 hours? Now can you imagine 4 to 6 days on a donkey, being pregnant, hurt, can't move, bouncing, rough terrain, you're young, your body is sore, it's hurt, you're going through something you've never experienced before, you're going on the roughest ride of your life, during the roughest time of your life, supposedly with your promise and with your loved one, but all the while you're doing what God told you to do. What will we do today? I mean, there's so many abortions today. The world would say, abort the baby. Girl, he ain't gonna believe you. He ain't gonna believe an angel told you. Girl, I don't believe an angel told you. You must have been sipping some yak. That didn't happen. But when you know that you know that you know that God told you something, don't you dare abort it. But you have to have the strength, the wherewithal, and the conviction to remain pregnant. See, I can imagine in today's world seeing a couple in that situation. Now you have friends and family both talking about you, talking to you, talking with you, and talking against you. Dog that brings a bone is going to carry a bone. So here you have him, girl, you gotta leave him. He's no good anyway. How in the world can he believe that? But they turn it right around telling their girlfriends, I don't believe that either. Where'd she come up with that? She expects him to believe that? You got his friends clowning him, talking about, Jody, you got your wife pregnant. This happened, that happened. He's going through all of this. She's going through all of this. I find it funny that when God kept dealing with me about this subject, he kept saying, I want you to look at the fact. I want you to look at how people look at you when you tell them that you are pregnant with a vision, when you're pregnant with a destiny, when you're pregnant with a word, when you're pregnant with an opportunity. Most people say, God chose you instead of me. Doesn't God know who I am? Look at you. Who are you? But God said, don't abort the baby. Those same people will say that you're not educated enough. You don't look good enough. You don't know this enough. But God said, don't abort the baby. The same people say your relationship is never going to work. What you said, that's never been done before. That's never going to work. But you still got God. You still remember what God told you. Don't abort the baby. It has to come to pass. Not only is this your salvation, this is their salvation, and they don't even know it. They can't see the precious gift. They can't see the precious baby that God gave to you, that God wants you to deliver. But we let fear, inadequacy, and what the world says determine if we go full term. Some of us don't abort the baby, but we have a premature childbirth because of so much stress, because of so much aggravation, that we just want to hurry and get this vision out of us, hurry and get this ministry out of us, hurry and get all of this out of us, that now it's born, and now it's weak, and it's feeble. It's not at full strength. It's on spiritual life support. It needs help. Now there's nothing you can do to help it, because you allow your situation, you allow people, places, and things cause what God gave you to prematurely come to existence. Do you know how hard it is when you read the word and you see that some people were pregnant for 30 years with a vision and further? It's already tough enough to see someone being pregnant for 9 months. But can you imagine being pregnant with a vision for 30 years? Pregnant with a ministry for 30 years? Pregnant with passion that God gave to you for 30 years? Can you imagine that? Now can you imagine it never happened? That you did nothing for 30 years but sit back and wait for it to happen instead of going on your journey to make it happen? When God gives you a promise, He gives you a beginning and an ending. That means you have to start one place and you have to end up somewhere else rather than where you started from. You have to go on a journey. You have to go on a mission. You have to travel somewhere. Sometimes our journey is changing our personalities. I may have personality A, and God may want me to journey to become personality Z. But see, I like me. I think me is good enough. I don't need to change me. I need to change everybody else, because everybody else is wrong. Sometimes we don't want to go on that journey. But what do? We sit back and we blame God. There's nothing worse that I can personally imagine than being pregnant with the word or pregnant with a gift and it being dead inside you. You're still showing signs of being pregnant. God, I'm still coming to church. God, I'm still praising you. God, I'm still worshiping. God saying, yeah, but you didn't do anything that I told you to do. You missed your season. Your baby was supposed to be born 5 years ago. You carrying a dead fetus around, a dead ministry around, a dead vision around. I moved past that. I took that gift and talent away from you and gave it to someone else who was willing to make the journey. Don't abort the baby. Don't allow people, places, and things to take away from you what God has declared and decreed to you. It's funny to have a declaration and a decrement, but if you don't believe it, if you don't think you deserve it, if you don't want it, if you don't feel you need it, God will give it to someone else who is willing. It's amazing how you have surrogate mothers. It's amazing how we have all these different things in today's technology. But in the spiritual terms, we have the exact same thing. What you aren't willing to do, what you're too fearful to do, what you're too afraid to do, whatever excuse you make why you won't do it, do you know how many people who are willing to do it? They say biting at the bit, chomping at the bit. There are people who truly, truly want to run for God. There's also people who run from God. But there are people who want to run for God. But for whatever reason, God chose people like you and me. It should be an honor. It should be an accountability and a responsibility when God has chosen you to become pregnant with a word, or pregnant with the vision, or pregnant with the ministry. Again, there are a lot of people sitting out there who are pregnant. They just don't know what they're going through. You have all these labor pains. You're going through all of this. And part of the reason why is, even when you're pregnant, you have to make sure that you have the right physician that you go see, that you go talk to. Because just because somebody's a doctor doesn't mean that they can help you. You can't go see a dentist if you're pregnant. It just doesn't make any sense. Sometimes you're telling the wrong people what God told you. and all they're going to do is discourage you. They can't see what you see. They don't have what you have. They didn't hear what you heard. It's not for you to tell them. It's for them to see when that bundle of joy comes out, and then you can step back and say, wow, look at my ministry. Look at my baby. Look at my vision. Look at the movie. Look at the play. Look at the songs. Look at all these different things that I was pregnant with. I had quadruplets. But why? I went full term, and I waited on God while I was on my journey. You don't listen to what people say negative about you. You don't listen to what people point out. What you do is you learn, and you continue to keep moving. You don't allow negativity to fill you, because that becomes poison. It's like drinking cyanide. And if you're pregnant and you take anything in that's poison to your baby, not only is it poison to you, it's poison to your baby. So when God has chosen you and picked you out, many are called, but few are chosen. When he chose you and he picked you out to deliver a word, to deliver this, you have to keep in your mind. We always say, what would Jesus do? But some of us, we can't think that high-minded because we see Christ here. So instead of asking, what would Jesus do? On this Mother's Day, I would say to yourself, ask yourself, what would Mary do? What would this young lady who was told that she was going to give birth to the Savior of the world, what would she do? What would this young lady do who had to go talk to her husband about not being with him or being pregnant? What would Mary do? See, that makes it more realistic for us because that puts it on human terms. What would Mary do? Because we saw what Mary went through. We saw what Mary was about. It's funny how everybody quotes today, I'm not about that life. Mary was about that life because she lived it, she went through it, and she proved it. Now, what are you willing to do? All I have to say to you today is, please don't abort the baby. Go full term, no matter how long God has told you it's going to take. Don't ever stop. Don't ever quit. Don't ever give up. Continue the journey, because in the end, God